Well, hey everybody, John Ritlin here, and this is hashtag Ask for Honesty episode 5. And yes, I am doing a special edition here mainly because I got some good questions in the comments of episode 4, and also because I got some really good questions in DM and on Twitter, so that's why you're getting a special edition. There will be a normal weekly edition up Thursday afternoon/evening. And from there on, I may do a special edition here and there, but you will get the weekly editions likely on Thursdays. Because that would be now that my work schedule is back to normal, that will be the best day to do it. So if you want to send a question, you make sure to leave a comment in this video. I will include it in next week's show. Find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle's in the description. If you can DM me, please do so. Send me questions. Otherwise, I put up a pinned tweet on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Use the hashtag Ask for Honesty. Wrestling movie related questions, please comment in that thread and use the hashtag Ask for Honesty. Because otherwise, I may miss your question. So just please try to do that. And I'm not faulting. I'm trying to come up with the best system and the best schedule for it. But anyway, that's how you do it. So yeah, we're just going to get right on with this. Thank you guys once again, though, for the continued support. I know I say it in a lot of videos, but thank you from fellow wrestling fan to all of the fellow wrestling fans. Thank you so much. Now, unfortunately, we're going to start with a little bit of tragedy or a little bit of sadness, because Ariel Enlai asked your thoughts on the passing of Ashley Mazzaro. I want to say right now it was apparent suicide, which is terrible. That, that at 39 years old, or whatever age she was, I mean, she was 39 years old, but it wouldn't have mattered her age, that she felt that was the only way, that was the only way she could find peace. I'm going to put the suicide prevention hotline number in the description. Make sure that you try to find some peace. I know it's not easy. I have suicidal thoughts also. I suffer from massive depression and just, mood swings and stuff like that. And it is terrible. It is rough. And I don't know Ashley Mazzaro's background. Beyond her career and stuff like that, I believe she had some kind of issues after she had a leg injury. And she had to leave wrestling after a few years due to a few reasons, mainly on the part of the company not being nice to her, but also because she has a sick daughter. But regardless of that, you can feel however you want about the wrestling character. Please respect the person. And this is coming from me, somebody that makes a lot of offensive jokes, and very few things are off limits. I'm not gonna be that way about Ashley Mazzaro. It's a tragic situation. It is, whether you were a fan of her or not. Please respect the person, especially respect the daughter, who has to live with the fact that her mother, ended her life this way. And I mean, it's not a guilt trip or anything. It's just terrible that Ashley felt that was the only way that she could find any peace. Let's respect Ashley's, legacy or life and all that, tragic end and all. And also her daughter. I don't remember her daughter's name right off the bat. I'm not trying to laugh about that, but I don't, so I don't want to be misspoken about her daughter's name. But I've seen some fairly mean comments and screenshots and stuff that I've received, which is pretty shit. So also, just guys, reach out to your loved ones, your family, your friends, people you care about, coworkers. Let them know that you care. You don't know what people are going through. So really, and coming from somebody that gets, pretty angry about wrestling and, various things on this channel, movies and stuff like that, that all takes a back seat to the fact that it was somebody's life that was taken too soon. They took their own life, and it's just really, really sad. So her career, okay, it was about 3 years, and given the fact she suffered injury, she actually, I think, did pretty well. But honestly, regardless of that, even if she only had a 1-year career, whatever it was, she seemed to be doing better. She was going to be at StarCast. One of her last tweets was about answering fan mail. That showed the kind of person she was, and people have spoken glowingly about her, fellow colleagues, wrestlers, people that, met her maybe a couple times. Fans of hers have said that she's one of the nicest people. So it's tragic all around. So once again, the suicide prevention hotline will be in the description. Reach out to the people you care about. If you suffer from depression, anxiety, all that stuff, you are not alone. I suffer from that stuff. Maybe not on the same level as you guys. Maybe you guys don't suffer from the same as I. Whatever. Everybody's going through different things. Please make sure you can contact me on Twitter and say, hey, if we can't DM or whatever, if I don't follow you, please let me know. I will DM you and I will talk to you. I say a lot of shit. I make a lot of jokes and everything about a variety of things, but I will listen to you. We are all human beings. I will listen to you. Rest in peace, Ashley Mazzaro. So that much I will say. Polier from YouTube. How would you have booked Sting's run when he made his WWE debut? I would have had him show up, leading up into WrestleMania 27, have him beat The Undertaker, and then have him make sporadic appearances. Since he didn't do that, let's just go with the Survivor Series 2014 debut. I would have opened up the checkbooks for a lot more appearances. I would have had him appear, I would have had him maybe appear in the Rumble, in the 2015 Rumble. That would have spiced it up quite a bit. Then Triple H could have come out. It could have been a distraction. Sting could have got dumped out after eliminating a couple people. Because let's be honest, that could have spiced up anything in the 2015 Rumble, which wasn't very good. In fact, it wasn't very good at all. One of the worst Rumbles of all time. And then you had Fastlane 2015 where they had their confrontation. What I would have had is I would have had Sting win. I would have had him win a straight-up match. There would have been no NWO, no DX. I'm sorry. There just wouldn't have been any of that. Or, if you're going to have that, you're going to have DX and NWO run down, and you're just going to have them brawl on the stage, and Sting's going to beat Triple H. The bottom line is Sting's going to beat Triple H one-on-one. And then what I actually would have had happen is I would have had him beat Seth at Night of Champions and hold the WWE title until Survivor Series. And then he could put somebody over or something like that. It would have been a nice little one-year run or something like that. You could have even then had Sting versus Undertaker, WrestleMania 32, which I would have liked to have fucking seen. And then that could have been it. You just could have ended right there. It would have been a nice little, way to have him have a few appearances and stuff like that. He wouldn't have needed to have that many. You could have had Taker show up, even though Taker wrestled earlier on Survivor Series, the 2015, I believe he teamed with Kane against the Wyatt family. I think it was actually Harper and Bray. Roman might have been there. I don't remember much about that show because I remember being pretty shit. But that's what I would have done. I would have had him beat Triple H. I would have had him be WWE champion, beating Seth Rollins. Sure, okay, part-timer with the championship, but then you could have Rollins win it back, or Roman Reigns win it, or something like that at Survivor Series. And then you could have just gone from there. Maybe you could have had Sheamus cash in on Sting, this kind of stuff, and then you could have gone from there. But you could have had Sting versus Taker, WrestleMania 32, and that would have been it. Now, of course, that would have been based on the fact of Sting not getting his neck hurt. And we're gonna get Sting versus Undertaker at the November Saudi Arabia show, aren't we? We probably are. That's how I would have booked it, though. I would have booked it a lot better with him beating Triple H at Mania 31. That is one of the biggest, flubs in WrestleMania history. Sting losing to Triple H. It was just stupid. I don't care what the reasons were. It was just stupid. And then we get Critical Sting from YouTube. No, not that Sting, but actually, it was what it was. I'm just kidding. Actually, I like your name. I like your name quite a bit. Says, would you, and actually I really love your questions here because it's women's wrestling related. Would you agree that Impact has the best women's division along with them bringing Jessica Havoc back? I was not aware that they brought Havoc back. That's cool though. They have Jordynne Grace, they have Su Yung, they have Rosemary, they have Kira Hogan, they have Madison Rayne. They have a few others. Well, they have Taya Valkyrie. They have others that I'm just totally fucking missing. Tessa Blanchard. They have a good. I mean, I don't think Gail's really wrestling all that much. And I know I probably forgot a few, but right there, that's a pretty loaded, small but loaded amount of female talent. Wrestling talent in general, just putting gender to the side, that's a really loaded amount of talent with a lot of potential. I mean, in some that are veterans, some that are up and comers. Tessa Blanchard, who's done really well for her young age. Same with Jordynne Grace. There's a lot of potential with the women. I don't know if I would say it's the best. Top to bottom, maybe, but I don't know if I'd say it's the best overall. Now, is it the best utilized? It does see, except for the fact that Disco Inferno recently won a women's, battle royal. Hello, Santina Marella. Apparently, that was such a bad idea that Impact decided to copy it. I mean, to an extent. And you have Scarlett Bordeaux. She wrestles occasionally. Does she wrestle that often, or is she mainly just a valet? I'm not able to watch Impact nearly as much as I would like, quite frankly, because my time is limited. I'm already watching WWE and New Japan. I'll be watching AEW once they kick up with their TV deal. But back to the women's roster, I think Impact actually does have it's very much up there. It's above Ring of Honor. It's pretty damn high. So yeah, I would say even with the women that they've lost, they've actually done pretty damn well keeping it stockpiled even if the roster's small, and the roster overall on the entire, in the entire company is pretty small, but the women are working really hard and it's pretty loaded. I would still say WWE's is better, not better utilized. That's another story. But Impact's might be the best utilized, even if it's not quite the best roster. Best women's roster in the world. Could you go with Stardom? You can go with others. Shine, Shimmer, you could go with that. But yeah, I would say it's really up there. Maybe not the best, but that's just my opinion. And their second question, what would you do to save Women of Honor? I would partner with Stardom. I would partner with a few others. Bring in some indie women, something. Because you got Kelly Klein, you got Mandy Leon. I mean, I'm sorry. When you're bringing Angelina Love and Velvet Sky, and I'm sorry, they both suck. They both do. Not Kelly Klein and Mandy Leon. I mean, Kelly Klein is clearly head and shoulders above quite a few of the women there. But Tennille Dashwood left recently, and then you got Madison Rayne that left. I'm not too sure on the rest of the women that they have on that roster. Now, I know that they got some, and they do partner. I believe they do actually do partner with Stardom, because I think that's where Mayu Iwatani came from. And she was pretty good. They actually had a pretty good match over, given the fact that it was put on right after Dalton Castle lost in like 5 seconds. Well, actually it was 20 seconds in G1 Supercard. I think that the women, what could save it is they got to just get more people. They got to find a way to open up the checkbook, work with Stardom, work with Shine, work with Shimmer, just work with some partnerships and stuff like that. And bring in some women they could really do well. They're just going to happen to open up the checkbook. They're going to have to feature their women better. And I'm sorry, but they're going to have to cut people like Angelina Love and Velvet Sky. They just aren't very good. They aren't worth the money that they would be paying them when they could take that money and spread it to others. And I mean, Sinclair's got a lot of goddamn money. Maybe they don't want to open it up and pay, pay women like, as much as the men, even though you could argue that the women's wrestlers all over work just as hard as the men, if not harder, and have to work harder. But they're really just going to have to open it up, and they're going to have to, bring in some more women. They're just going to have to poach from independent promotions or work with independent promotions and just go from there. If I missed anybody on the Women of Honor roster, please let me know. I'm trying to keep track of some of this stuff, but there's so much wrestling to keep track of. So that's what I would do. Just open up the checkbook, bring in some more, and work with some smaller promotions. At A Freaky Dude on Twitter, a couple questions. Do you have an unpopular opinion on Paul Heyman as a manager, promoter, etc.? Damn good manager. Can get a lot of people over. Loved him managing a Dangerous Alliance. I am sick of him as Heyman's voice. Voice of the voiceless, or advocate or whatever. But I will say overall, he's one of the best managers. I would say Heenan, Cornette, and Jimmy Hart are above him. But Heyman is right up there for a lot of people that he managed. And then as a promoter, oh boy, let's encompass everything with ECW. He could use a lot of really good talent and get a lot out of a little. I mean, Sandman, anybody, New Jack, other people like that. But as a promoter, he was a horrible businessman. He did do a lot. He did, use a lot of great talent. He did, unfortunately, he did use people. He did use some people in roles that maybe he shouldn't have. But I will say he did accentuate the positives and hide the negatives. He's fine running creative. He's not fine running a company. So I may expand on that at some point with Paul Heyman. I do like Paul, but I do respect him with, his most recent documentary. I do respect that. That was pretty good. And you got to find out a lot of stuff about him. And then second question, also, what is your opinion on Shawn Michaels, the wrestler, even back in the 90s when he was an asshole backstage? Great talent in the ring, horrible for business, because he didn't want to drop the titles. He didn't want to drop the titles, Intercontinental or whatever, to anybody without being a bit of a jerk about it. Now, he's cleaned up his life since. He's born again, whatever. He was great. He was great in the ring. You could always count on him delivering a great match, but he was just horrible for business. And his assholish behavior, even if that's not a word, almost cost WWE quite a bit. I mean, they were losing in the ratings, which wasn't all Shawn's fault. I mean, he was trying. I mean, WCW was kicking their ass anyway. But Shawn, he was a great wrestler. And I was really happy to see him go in 98, even if I don't exactly believe the legitimacy of that back injury. I think he was injured. I don't know if he was injured as bad as he thought he was. Who the fuck knows? But I think that he was a great wrestler. He delivered some great matches, but it just, A lot of it was hard to watch because you knew that he could perform better, and he was just being a little petulant child. That's really what it was. Thankfully, again, he cleaned up his life and he did better. He had a second run that you could argue was better than the first run. Actually, I don't think there's really any argument. It was better than the first run. But yeah, that's my opinion. And Bobby from Facebook has a couple questions. Sometimes I will accept questions on Facebook from friends of mine if, you're friends with me on Facebook. If you guys are watching this, I'm probably not going to probably accept a friend request from you guys. I keep it private for a reason. All due respect, nothing against you guys at all, but I'm kind of selective with who I include on my friends list. But anyway, he asks, do you trust Triple H to buck Stephanie or Vince when it comes to talent? No, I don't. I think that Triple H will do better. I think he's proven with NXT that he can do some good, but Regal deserves a lion's share of the credit, and so does a lot of creative. Dusty's influence, even 4 years after his death, or nearly 4 years after his death, I think he died in June of 2015, so we're close to it. His influence is still felt, but Regal deserves a lion's share of the credit for stuff that, that's going well. The trainers and the prayers and saying your vitamins, no, or taking your vitamins, no, I'm kidding, saying your vitamins, good God. Boy, did I butcher that Hogan quote. No, I think that he deserves some credit for NXT and stuff like that. But I don't know if he does take over. I mean, I'm going to go back to the Punk promo, or, the Punk pipe bomb. And, of course, it was a work shoot. But it's like, I'd like to think this company will be better off when Vince McMahon is dead. But it's just going to get taken over by his idiot daughter and his doofus son-in-law and the rest of his stupid family. And that could end up being right, because Triple H has done some good. I mean, NXT tends to do pretty well, but he's not the only one running it. And with the main roster, Stephanie will still be the one running it. And Stephanie wasn't very good with creative or anything. So I don't know how much better it's going to be. I think he will do good with some talent. I think he recognizes work rate and uses them well. But also he's going to play favorites because that's what he did in his in-ring career, and it's what he will do if he, ends up ever taking over. So that's what I got to say about that. And he also asked, do you prefer that heels win or when faces do, or is there a balance? Like WWE was a face company and WCW was mostly a heel company. And I know that there were certain times where it's like, heels were focused on by both. So I get what he's saying. I think there has to be a good balance. If the story calls for a heel to win, have a championship, and the face be in chase mode, I think that's the right way to go. If a face is champion and can go on a big run and everything and overcome all the odds, I really think it just depends, honestly, on which way the wind blows and how it fits the story. If a face being champion, like Kofi being champion currently, as of the recording of this video, because by the time you guys watch this, if you guys watch this after Money in the Bank, because I'm recording this literally a day before Money in the Bank, Kofi could already have lost the title. I hope not, but he could have. But a face being, chasing the whole thing, chasing or being champion and, overcoming all the odds is great. Or otherwise a face, chasing the heel. I really just prefer either one. I prefer whichever fits the best story. And sometimes the payoff is great. The heel winning the title through dastardly methods, or the face overcoming all the odds. I mean, really, it just honestly depends. Whatever fits the best story. I like both, honestly. And that's why I like old NWA, WCW stuff, and some old WWE stuff. Because it does tell a good face-heel dynamic. And even now, they've told some good stuff. Little WWE has. WCW's not around anymore. But anyway. So yeah, those are his questions. And we go to Jeremy8911. Thoughts on Killian Dane going back to NXT, and who would you like to see him face? Pretty much Keith Lee. That's about it. He could probably be somebody that, I don't know, he could face off again. He could fight a heel Street Profits, since they seem to be going with the Street Profits being heel. Or Dane could team up with Lorcan and Birch and take on the Forgotten Sons. Did you forget about them? That's like a punchline of a gimmick waiting to happen. The Forgotten Sons. I can't really stand them. I don't have anything against them as people. It's just that gimmick is just so throwaway. I would say Keith Lee is one that I would definitely like to see him face. Other than that, I really can't think of anybody else. I'm just glad Dane's going to be used better. They should really rotate some people in and out of NXT and stuff like that, because they got enough of a deep roster that, and they aren't doing enough with some of them on the main roster. Why not send them to NXT? They could help with some of the people they're trying to bring along. And Jeremy, you've asked this question, maybe not to me, but other people before, but I will answer it here because I love it. Thoughts on the idea of a new Dangerous Alliance stable with Rude, Cesaro, Revival, Lacey, or Alexa and Heyman? Take Alexa right out of that, because Alexa should only be a manager, not involved in any of that stuff. As far as somebody that fits the Medusa role, Lacey would be perfect. She has the strength, the ability, the promo ability, and she actually, stature-wise would actually fit as Medusa the most, like in the Medusa role. And I love the idea of a new Dangerous Alliance. I love it so much that WWE wouldn't go for it. They wouldn't go for it. Now, I love your idea. I have nothing but respect for, the ideas that you come up with and everything, but let's be honest, they're not going to go with it. Now, if they did go with it, I would fucking love it. I would absolutely love it. It would be great. I just can't see it happening because it would be a bunch of underutilized guys, but would anybody be able to take it seriously? I mean, it's like, because nobody took the Revival seriously as tag team champions. Rude has been an afterthought. Cesaro's probably being used the best out of them, and he's losing most days, or most weeks and everything. But it is what it is. Cesaro's still, talented as fuck, but I like the idea, but I just don't think they go anywhere with it. I like your idea, though. And I'm going to go to Great Love 91. Thoughts on the Riot Squad? Now, this is a three-part question here. Thoughts on the Riot Squad? Is splitting them up, is the split as upsetting to you as it is to me? How would you have booked them? Thoughts on the Riot Squad? Loved them. They deserve better. Way, way better. And I've talked about this at length in other videos before. Is the split as upsetting to you as it is to me? I don't know how upsetting it is to you, so I can't speak for you. As for me, I'm glad. I wouldn't have had a problem with them splitting them up if they had plans for them, because they weren't doing anything with them as a trio anyway. Like, let's be perfectly honest. But they might as well, like, splitting them up or keeping them together. They're not using them anymore. Sure, Liv and Ruby are teaming up on, house shows on the UK tour. Or at least were, because the UK tour is over. They are flying back, I believe, for Money in the Bank, or have already flown back now. But I didn't like them being split up, but at that point, they weren't doing anything with them. So how would I book them? I would have had Sarah and Liv win the tag titles at some point. I would have kept them together, had Sarah and Liv win the tag titles at some point, had them do the Freebird rule and stuff like that. I would have given Ruby Money in the Bank, and I would have had Ruby cash in at some point, and you could have had a lengthy run. And I love the Iconics as tag champions, do not get me wrong, but Sarah and Liv as tag champions, Freebird rule, Ruby cashes in, she's a champion, and there you go. That's how you fucking book a trio, and that's how you book a stable, or a faction, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But no, they didn't do that. So that's how I would have booked them. Thank you for your question, by the way. And we go to Avalana WWE, and boy, this is a really loaded first one, and I'm not knocking you. I mean, I really like it. You and I talked about this before. But thoughts on AEW fanboys calling other fans cheap for not being able to pay the $60 for a debut pay-per-view. For those of you that don't know, Double or Nothing is going to be $60, $50 to $60, depending on which streaming service you used, and mainly in the States. I think in Canada it's a little cheaper, and you can get it on ITV in the UK for like pretty cheap. I think like $20. Because they got a TV deal through, or they got like a TV streaming service thing through ITV, and I'm not totally sure about how the UK stuff works out. So please, somebody from the UK, let me know either in the comments or on Twitter. But how do I feel about the fans calling it calling other fans cheap for not wanting to pay the $60 for a debut pay-per-view? Pretty shitty. But I'm going to finish up the whole question. I'm going to dissect it. AEW's debut pay-per-view should be way more affordable to attract new eyes and give people a reason why the price may be increased for the following shows, but not the debut show. It's also 2019, and I find it very hard to pay $60 for something when it's easily more streamable. $30 makes more sense. First off, I want to say this. The WWE Network has spoiled it for a lot of people. WWE can afford that kind of price and everything because it's about volume and stuff like that. For a startup company like AEW, I get why they might want to charge, a decent amount of money. And this could end up being their WrestleMania. Double or Nothing may end up being, or this pay-per-view in this particular slot in May may end up being their annual pay-per-view, their annual WrestleMania, their annual Starrcade, or big, grand show. So that makes sense. It could have something to do with the cable providers. It could, the prices for that. It could have some, paying for the cable clearance, or, the pay-per-view clearance. It could have something to do with all the TV, or, all the deals that they have and wanting to satisfy all the masters and all the people that they have deals with to stream this pay-per-view and to, broadcast it on pay-per-view. It could have a whole lot of factors for that, as to why that price is that much. If it were up to me, it would have been about $40. because $60 is too damn much. Now, I will be paying for it. I will, as you know, at this time next week, I will be watching it. I am not going to call it, to those saying, oh, people are cheap, you know, if they don't want to pay the $60. If somebody has that kind of disposable income, that's great. That's fucking great. If you have that kind of disposable income, awesome. But if you're going to call other fans cheap because they want to pay their bills or eat or not end up, you know, out on the streets homeless because they didn't want to pay $60 for a fucking pay-per-view, fuck you guys. Seriously, fuck you. That is goddamn ridiculous. That is goddamn embarrassing to call other fans cheap. Now, there are some that are going to just be upset even if a pay-per-view costs $1 more than the WWE Network. Like if something costs $10.99, because people have gotten so used to the price. I'm going to use an example like the Crockett Cup. Now, I know the NWA revival is hit and miss, and some people like it, some people don't. I like it. I enjoyed the Crockett Cup review, or that I did. I mean, and I paid my $25. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed reviewing it. Over 800 views on that review. How? I don't know. But $25 and you got a whole lot of entertainment out of it. Now, I get it. They're paying big money to Omega, the Bucks, Cody, probably to Hangman Page are paying him decent money at least. He kind of feels like the odd one out on the Elite. And, you know, other people, Jericho, I mean, they're paying a ton of money to Jericho. So it may be a way to get more, you know, get people to pay in so they can justify all the big contracts. But I've heard from multiple people, they got tickets for Double or Nothing in Vegas for really cheap. I believe it was WrestleRank, Graham GSM Matthews. He mentioned something about how they got some, him and a buddy of his got some affordable tickets for the show that was roughly the same price as the pay-per-view, you know, $60. So fuck you guys if you're going to say, oh, hey, people should just pay it or whatever and stop whining. Now, if people would just complain no matter what the price was, sure, I totally get that. But there are a lot of people that are pretty much fucking dicks about the way the prices are. It's like, if you guys can afford $60, you want to put that money on there, great, go for it. Support the company. I will be supporting the company, but I will say this, paying $60 a month, that's why I stopped buying UFC pay-per-views. That's why I only bought occasional WWE pay-per-views before the network came along. In 2013, I think, I bought the Rumble, I bought Mania, I bought Money in the Bank, and I bought SummerSlam. And after that, I didn't buy Survivor Series, I didn't buy nothing. I bought the 2014 Rumble, and then the network kicked in. With the way the pay-per-views are now, I would not be paying, if there wasn't a network, I wouldn't have a channel because I would not be paying an exorbitant amount of money for these pay-per-views. So, with Double or Nothing, they're overstating, they're going to end up costing themselves some money. They're going to end up costing themselves some big, big money. And that's the unfortunate thing about it. I wish that they maybe took it a little easy on the price. Now, I mean, again, do tiered pricing. $30 standard definition, $50 for high definition, or something like that. But again, I don't know how the business structure is set up, so I don't know that. But for the fanboys calling people cheap because they don't want to pay $60, well, la-di-da, Mr. Richie Pants, that you can just throw $60 or something like that. Some people don't want to end up out on the street. Some people got bills to pay. Some people are living paycheck to paycheck and want to buy it, but can't because they want to pay bills or they want to feed their families or something like that. So yeah, fuck you guys if you're going to call other fans cheap because you don't know what the fuck they're going through or what bills they have. So fuck you guys. But I am excited to watch Double or Nothing. I will say that much. And I agree with you, Valena, by the way, that they should have done a better pricing system for it. This may alienate some fans. But who knows? It'll probably end up biting them in the ass because more people will probably illegally stream it. But, you know, I digress. I'm going to pay my money, but I ain't going to follow people if they want to stream it. I mean, hey, whatever. I mean, I'm going to throw my hands up on this because it is a lot of money for a debut company. And then we get to our second question of 4 questions. I know this is a different question from the usual, but you've never really discussed your musical taste publicly. Do you have a favorite artist, band, etc.? What genres of music do you like? Not current country or current rap, but I like old school country and old school rap and stuff like that. I don't mind some R&B. I listen to a lot of 90s and 80s, 90s music, some 2000s. As far as current stuff, I do like Taylor Swift. That may shock some people, except the version of September. I hated that song. That was awful. Please, Taylor, never do that shit again. I do like Katy Perry. I know they're at war with each other or this kind of stuff. I do like quite a bit of Katy Perry's music. I like Spice Girls. Yeah, it's going more old school. As far as new stuff, a lot of K-pop. CLC, Blackpink, and let's see, I think it's FX. They're singing a song called Electric Shock. Excuse me. But Blackpink would probably be one of my favorite groups right now. If I see a video that they have released, I will instantly watch that. I think it's very catchy music. I don't understand a fucking thing because I don't speak Korean, but still, it's catchy as fuck music. Julia Brennan, I believe is her name. She has a song called Inner Demons. She, that's, I mean, it's a year or two old, but it's a really good song. As far as modern stuff, I don't really listen to a lot of modern music. I just don't. I mean, Billie Eilish or Billie Eilish, she's certainly not bad. I don't mind some stuff by Ariana Grande, which surprises some people, but like I don't mind Jericho's band Fozzy. I think that's actually pretty good. But a lot of K-pop, a lot of older stuff, like older 80s, 90s and stuff like that. Pop mainly. Pop tends to be the music I really listen to, which surprises a lot of fucking people. But I also do listen to some opera. One of my favorite artists of all time is Sarah Brightman. I saw her in concert and loved every bit of it. Best concert I've ever been to. I have seen Britney Spears twice, which, again, may shock people. I'm going to see Joan Jett and the Blackhearts and Heart in September. Christina Aguilera, I've seen in concert. I saw Hanson. My sister needed somebody to go with her to Hanson after a friend canceled. That was a blast of a concert. Hanson actually did some really good music, and this was like in their second album phase, where they were doing some more stuff. I will listen to a variety of music, and I probably could go forever and ever on this question, but that's just to give you a little bit of an idea of what I listen to. So if you guys ever want to hit me up and find out about, music I listen to, hell, just check my Twitter, because at random I will just post songs that I'm listening to. But yeah, that's just to give you an idea. That's the kind of stuff I listen to. And then number 3, top 5 overrated main roster wrestlers of 2019. I hate to do this, but I'm going to kind of have to throw Balor in there, and this is no particular order. I love Balor. Balor's very good. Balor commands the crowd's attention. I don't really care that much for Balor when he comes out. He's exciting in the ring, but I've seen it before. I'm kind of over Balor. Braun's another one I got to put over, or, put on this list at least. I like Braun. I think Braun's talented, but I just don't give a shit about him. Nakamura. I love Nakamura, but I'm not excited anymore when he comes out. I'm just not. As far as the women, I can't really think of any women. I just can't. I know there are people that are saying Becky's not all that great in the ring, and a lot of people overrate her skills. I don't think Becky is overrated. Becky is not the best women's wrestler on the roster. Not at all. I think she has some great character work and stuff like that, but I don't know if I would call her overrated. That's just my take. I really can only come up with a few. Lashley I would almost call overrated, because Lashley's good in the ring, but he's just boring. And Reigns. I'll throw Reigns in there. That's not to say that any of those 5 that I mentioned aren't really good athletes and really good wrestlers. I just particularly, maybe it's just oversaturation. Maybe it's just the fact I just don't care for them as much as I used to, but that's where I got to leave them there. Because, I could mention guys like Corbin or Jinder, but I don't like those guys anyway. I haven't been a fan of Corbin since like early 2015, and his character hasn't evolved since he got up to the main roster. My opinion. He did cut his hair finally, and it looks better for him, but it is what it is. But yeah, those would be some overrated wrestlers. And then her final question, 3 NXT women you'd call up to the main roster, and 3 main roster women you'd send down to NXT, or to improve their work, or to help the new girls out. Okay, so let's be really, really quick with the 3 NXT women I'd call to the main roster. Io Shirai, Candice Michelle, Shayna Baszler. Yes, I would leave a lot of really nothing down there, but honestly, you got a lot of women that you could build around and stuff like that. I would actually only call Shayna up. I would leave Candice down there. I would leave Io down there. I think you could build a whole lot of really good stuff. You could build a lot with Io as champion or something like that, and have Rhea maybe win the title from Shayna, and have Rhea go on a dominant run, like she should have gone when she was NXT Women's Champion. NXT UK Women's Champion, sorry. If we're going to count UK, I would say Ginny. Ginny is somebody that, I would call up Rhea. I would call up Shayna. I would call up Ginny, because I think Ginny could get way over, especially if you put her on SmackDown. SmackDown is more wrestling driven, but Ginny has proven herself there. And I don't know if I'd call up Tony, but I would call Shayna up for sure. I'd call up Ginny. And I'll call up Candice. And after that, you could have Io down there, and she could feud with Aaliyah, Vanessa Bourne, and people like that. As for 3 women that I would send down to NXT, Dana's got to be right up there. I mean, I'm sorry. Dana's trying, and hopefully by the time, you guys see this video, if Dana, isn't taken out last second because of a returning Sasha Banks, which could happen, then Dana, maybe Dana being in the Money in the Bank ladder match, I'd send Dana down there. I think Dana could benefit by maybe gaining some time on a smaller stage to work on her skills. And she seems, apparently, she has been working in the Performance Center almost every single day, working hard and trying to improve. And I give her credit for that. They also need to stop scripting her so much because maybe her promos wouldn't be that bad. I would send Mickie James down there because then it'd at least get her on fucking TV and she could do some stuff. And send Natty down there. It could do the same for Tyson Kidd. Do the same for her that it did for Tyson Kidd. Where Tyson Kidd had, a pretty good run there. So that's what I would do. I'd send Mickie, Dana, and Natty down there. 2 veterans, and then Dana maybe could improve. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't hate Dana. I've kind of softened my opinion on Dana, but that's what I would do. But anyway, I'm going to end that right here. So thank you guys so much for the continued support for this. And again, you want to send a question, hit the comments here, or hit me up in DM, or tweet below the tweet that I'll put up as my pinned tweet. Tuesday night, Wednesday mornings. Use the hashtag #AskForHonesty. But anyway, yeah, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm Jar Mitlin. I will see you soon.